I had this question in my school community from Isaac. By the way, thank you, Isaac, right? And the question was, how do you actually pay your setters and closers? What is the compensation plan that you set up to make sure they come in, they're happy with their commissions, they're getting paid well, while you're not losing your revenue, right? You're not paying and giving away everything to them. And you're also not losing setters and closers who just leave because they feel like they're not getting paid enough. See, the thing is, if you're just starting a business, or if you've been running a business and now you're trying to scale your sales team and you can't structure a proper compensation system for your setters, your closers, even your engagement VAs that kind of generate attention for the setters, you're never going to have an actual reliable sales team. It's impossible. And after personally running an acquisition team for a $350K per month company and getting this question here in my school, I've put together a 3-step process for properly compensating your sales team. The point here is to pay your setters and closers so that you don't have salespeople coming in and leaving like 2-3 months or maybe even weeks after joining your sales team. Number 2, not having salespeople who complain about not making enough money and just always complain and go after you for not being paid enough, or just having salespeople who aren't aligned with your company and your company's mission and your goals, right? So we're going to talk about how you can prevent this with a proper compensation plan. Because the thing is, if you have any of these problems in your business right now, you will not be able to scale. You're not going to be able to grow very far because you need to have the right people in your company and on the sales team especially, right, to be able to scale, to be able to grow sustainably. And when you do have those right people and you're paying them fairly and you have happy people working in your company, that's when you're going to scale to 50K a month. That's when you're going to scale to 100K a month, 200K per month and beyond. Number 1, it's actually setting the proper expectations when someone is coming into your team, and that starts with your actual job post and how you're generating people to come into your sales team, right? This is what your job post should look like. I'm not going to stop here for too long. Pause the video and look this over. With this, you have to have an average on-target earnings. So you have to know exactly what is someone coming into your setting team? What is someone coming in to be a team lead? What is someone coming in to be a closer? What are they actually going to get paid? At least have a range. And the way you calculate it is based on your current stats. So if you don't have any sales reps, let's say you're just starting out, you don't have any setters, you don't have any closers, you have to calculate this based on yourself. If you have closers, if you have setters, calculate what are they making on average and put that into your OTE. But again, if you don't have that, look at what you would be making. Pretend that you are a sales rep for your own company and imagine what you would be making and put that into your OTE, right? So pretend that you're a sales rep and put that into the on-target earnings. One thing that's very important here is to never overpromise your salespeople when they're joining your company, especially just starting with like the job post itself and through the entire hiring process that you have. Because oversold salespeople, they won't sell. They're going to get disappointed, they're going to burn through your leads, and then they're going to end up leaving. Because what happens is if someone joins your company and they were oversold on making this amount, which isn't actually possible or isn't really realistic, at least in the first few months, but they think it is because that's what you promised them, that's the expectations you set. What's going to happen is they're going to come in, they're going to see that it's not possible within the first few weeks, then they're going to start running off hope, right? You're going to be feeding them promises, they're going to be running on hope, and when that hope runs out, they're gone. And now you have to look for a new sales rep and you have to go through that entire process again. Now, to have proper compensation, you can also use a 3-zone system to make the offer seem more irresistible. So especially if you're starting out or even if you're an established company, like this is what we do. You need to have a 3-zone system, 3 income zones that someone could get into based on their performance, right? So I'm going to use an example with like a setter. So there's a red zone, there's a yellow zone, and there's a green zone. And based off this, you can have bonuses, extra money, extra commissions. We're going to get into that as well here in step 2 and 3. But red zone is 70 calls to 100 calls per month booked by a setter. This means XYZ commissions, XYZ bonus, XYZ base, right? So you literally need to have these zones when you're hiring people and you can set these expectations. So you're like, when you come onto my team, when you're going to be in the red zone, this is what you're going to be expected to be making if you're going to be booking 70 to 100 calls per month. Now, when you start booking 100 to 130 calls per month, you're going to make this. When you're going to have 130 plus calls per month booked on the calendar as a setter, you're going to make this, plus you're going to have this promotional opportunity, right? That's something you can have as well because a lot of setters coming in, again, this is just a setter example, but a lot of setters coming in, they want to have a promotional opportunity to potentially become a closer or even become a team lead, just so they're not stuck being a setter. This is the best way to set expectations and also show people that there's a growth opportunity in your company and they can actually make more than the on-target earnings, because your on-target earnings is going to usually be either the red zone or the yellow zone, because the yellow zone is basically like the average. Now, if you watched all the way here in the video, but you're not actually 100% sure on how do you actually find A player talent, how do you find the best salespeople in the market, there's another video on my channel covering exactly that. I'll link it in the description. Now, moving on to step 2. Step 2, that is your pay structure. And I put up a map here that's showing income zones across the world, right? How much you're going to be paying based on where you're hiring from. For that, you can look at this income map and you're going to have to pay them more. But let's actually break it down how much you're going to pay a closer, a setter, and an engagement VA. So starting with the closers, you need to pay them usually 10 to 20% of the sale, depending on the ticket of what you sell, right? So if you sell, let's say, a $1,500 program versus like a $10,000 program, that commission is going to change. So on a $1,500 program, it's going to make sense to pay them more, so it's worth their time to get on an hour-long call and sell someone onto your product, right? Because if they're making 10% on $1,500, that's not going to be too much for the time they're spending there, selling the actual prospect. And also, you obviously need to calculate how this is going to affect your finances and how it's going to affect your revenue. But this is the industry standard in terms of commissions. Usually, closers are not going to get a base. It does not make sense to pay closers a base. However, some companies do pay a base as well. There's certain scenarios where it would make sense. Here's an optional thing you can do with closers. Pay extra 1 to 3% commissions for overtime, right? So if you have a closer on 5 days a week, if they work 6, 7 days, you pay them extra, and pay them overtime, or pay them the extra commission if they work weekends. So you need to give them that incentive to work on weekends and actually show up. And that's what you can do by giving them that extra commission on top. With weekends, if you don't sell on weekends, this is straight from Alex Hormozi, right? If you're not selling on weekends, you're missing out on 28% of potential revenue you can have every year, because that's 104 days a year of potential revenue that you're missing out on. Another optional contingency that you can add to your pay structure is a bonus per X amount of deals closed every month. So with this, an example is 9 deals closed. If a closer closes 9 deals for your company in a calendar month, they get comped for 10 deals, right? So it's like they get an extra deal just from thin air for closing 9 deals. When they close 17 deals, they get comps for 19 deals, right? So these are like cash bonuses that incentivize them to work more, take more calls, and be on top of it, improve their close rate, and everything like that. So with your setters, it's a little bit different. With setters, you're going to be paying 3 to 10% depending on the ticket size of the deal of what you sell, just like it is with the closers. You're paying them less because they're not closers. That's why a lot of setters want to get promoted to being a closer. With setters, it is actually more common than it is with like closers to have an actual base. For third world countries, usually a 1K base will do. You can also have that for just all setters that you hire, no matter where they're coming from. With first world countries, for setters, sometimes the standard is a little bit higher. For people with good English who are going to be taking actual phone calls and not just like DM setting, the base can go up and it can be 2 to 2.5K. For the best of the best if you're hiring from like the US, for example, right? But you can also get away with just paying that 1K base. And again, a base is optional. It just depends on how good your commission structure is and what a setter's income opportunity is just with commissions and what they're going to be making from this. So I don't want to get stuck on this for too long, but just to give you an example, if you hire a phone setter specifically to do follow-up calls, and every single day you give them a list of, let's say, 150 old leads that they're meant to follow up on, and you know that they're not going to make too many sales, or there's not going to be too many sales coming in from that follow-up list every month, but you still want to take care of it because there's still some extra revenue there. With those setters, it makes sense to give them a base just because, again, they're not going to be able to make that OTE with just the percentage and just their commissions. With cases like this, or if you have a lower close rate in your company, you can also pay them per booked call. You can pay them a flat fee per booked call, and it could be from anywhere from $20 to $50 up to $100 per booked call if they're doing, outbound setting where they're contacting cold leads. Another optional compensation plan for setters is having a bonus per amount of calls booked or per sales generated from calls they booked every month. So for example, if the standard metric for setters in your company is at least 8 sales per month, if they book enough calls to get 12 sales per month, then in that case, they're going to get compensated for basically 13 or 14 sales, as if they made 13 or 14 sales from the calls they booked. Now, the last person you have to pay in your sales team is potentially an engagement VA. So these are people handling comments and engaging with people to start conversations for the setters. With VAs, you can pay them anywhere from $400 to $1,000 a month in base. That's it. But if you want to give them incentive and goals to stream towards so that they can start more conversations, they can engage with more people, you can pay them a tiny percentage per sale, or you can give them a small cash bonus per booked call if it makes sense as an incentive in your company. Now with the last step, this goes beyond just paying your reps well. It goes into paying them in a way where you're not ran out of business, and you can still retain every rep for 3 to 6 months minimum instead of the industry average of 1 month where reps come and go almost weekly, where every few months you're switching for new reps. And with this third step, I wanted to cover bonuses and how do you actually structure bonuses where it's profitable for you and it's also amazing for the rep and it's amazing to set up for the rep. The number one thing I want to mention before we get into this is a quick disclaimer, right? Some of the best bonuses won't actually be monetary if your sales reps already make good money. So if you have closers pulling in, 10, 15, 20K months, and they're not really looking for more in terms of like money, they're already good with their money. They might have other things they want. Now for some bonus structures, as you can see, we have that yellow and the green zone kind of goes back to this structure right here. So with yellow and green bonuses, it's just tiers of bonuses, right? So if someone books X amount of calls, they get X amount of extra commissions. And then that bonus increases even more when they get into the green zone and they surpass into the next tier. Now, this is my favorite bonus personally, and it's a future pays bonus. This is actually from Aaron Platt. But with the future pays bonus, the way it works is someone gets extra commissions, extra percentage on their commissions the following month. So not this month where they win the bonus, but the following month. Just to give you an example of how this would work with a setter, let's say the minimum for this extra commission bonus is 100 calls. So let's say a setter is trying to do really well in May, right? I'm making this video in May here. They're trying to do really well so that they can get this bonus in June. So what happens is they're going to work really hard in May, and then in June, let's say they get 2 to 3% extra commission on every sale they make or on every call they book. Now, what happens is they have these 2 to 3 extra percent commission for the entire month, or it could also be just for a week, for a few days. So now they're going to work double, that next month in June to make the best out of the extra income potential that they can have. Right? Because they're literally getting a bonus, so they're going to work more so that they can make the most out of the bonus that they're getting next month. So that's what future pays bonuses are. There's a few more examples, but this is my favorite one. Now, it's also better to have weekly bonuses and monthly bonuses. So it's not only a monthly thing where it's over like a very long period of time. There's also weekly bonuses. One of my favorite bonus structures for weekly bonuses is having spin the wheel. So for example, again, using a setter example, every week the top setter, if you have 2, 3, 4, maybe more setters on your team, or even if you have one setter and they hit certain KPI, that week they get to spin the wheel, right? The top performer gets to spin the wheel, the top setter, top closer, and on that wheel you have multiple prizes. You can use this, this is the best one to use, it's completely free. Add some inputs on here, you can have spin again. This, let's say, is extra commissions. This is a cash bonus. This is another prize. And they get to spin the wheel at the end of the week if they win in terms of hitting X amount of KPI, X, metrics, or if they beat the team and they're the top setter or closer that week. And this is something you can do on a weekly basis. And then on the monthly basis, you can have these longer term goals, and you can kind of have certain KPI goals for them to hit. Now with this, those who lose the competition, they get held accountable. So it's not like just the top setter benefits. What happens is your company benefits, because for the setters or closers who don't win, they're going to have to explain why they didn't win, why they think they didn't win, what they could have improved on, and what they're going to do next week or next month to win this bonus and to get the bonus that's on the table. And what this does is it makes your company grow because people are always trying to be better. And a system like this is very scalable, by the way. So when you do scale, this bonus structure gets scaled, and so does the growth of your company. When scaled, it could look something like this. By the way, this is going to change company to company. This is just an example, a very rough example per se of how this could look. When you scale this, you're going to have multiple pods, right? As you scale your sales team, what you can have is competition between pods, right? So you're going to have pods, multiple sales team leads managing different sales pods, managing different closers, different setters, and then the pods are going to be competing against each other every week and every month, and this exact system is going to get scaled. Now, as you can see, this entire pay structure and the compensation structure, it goes beyond just paying your employees and paying your team members. It actually makes their job more fun, more engaging. It gives them something to stream towards. Every morning, if they have a bonus on the table that they can work towards, they have something to wake up for. Because it's just like you and I, we're streaming towards a goal every single day, whether it's business goals, maybe sales goals, we're both streaming towards something. Same thing needs to be done with your sales reps, and you can give them these goals to stream towards. And the best thing is, as I just showed you, this entire process is very, very scalable. So when you do start scaling and you need help building this entire process out, book a call with me below. Also join the school, hop in. We're about to cross 100 members. It's $5 a month. We do funnel calls as well as sales optimization calls every single week. Plus you get a whole module on scaling once you are inside the classroom.